Hello and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to continue the Becoming Foster Parent series. Now that we've gone over what classes are and how you go about that process, a lot of people think that after you've taken the class, you're a licensed foster parent and you'll get your first call. But that's not really the case because there's actually a lot more things that happen after you've taken the class. So once you complete the class, they will actually give you an official letter that says that you're licensed, or it really doesn't say you're licensed, it more or less just says that you've completed the class. And what happens at the end of the last class is they actually assign you a social worker that will come to your house and they'll end up doing the home study. Now, what the home study is they actually go through your house. There's a whole questionnaire. They're looking at your house for physical standards. So, number of rooms, make sure you have smoke detectors, carbon monoxide detectors, and all that basic safety stuff. If your age range is going to skew younger, then they're going to want to see that your house is child-proofed, at least mostly. They're going to work with you, and maybe you thought, didn't think of something. They're going to work with you on how to get that fixed or how to set that, set that room up properly. But they're looking for some basic things, especially on that age range. So additional thing that you're going to have to do is get fingerprints. Now, a lot of this is going to vary by jurisdiction and local county. But in our area, you have to go to a independent company, get fingerprints. It's all digital. It takes 30 seconds really. And they're going to do a background check. And you have to do the fingerprints every 2 years when you have to relicense. So your area might be slightly different, but of course your family resource worker is going to work through that with you and kind of give you a heads up on how the renewal process works. Now, sometimes, especially in our case, you'll get a family resource worker that differs from the one that actually does the interview and does the home study. It's just based on a lot of factors. So in our case, we were assigned somebody and then they moved to a different department. So we ended up getting a different family resource worker who we continue to work with to this day and who's been absolutely awesome through all the different cases that we've had and just knows us more personally. So an additional thing that happens is they actually send out letters to people that you recommend, and the recommendations are a lot more thorough than, say, for like a job interview. They don't just call, they actually send letters and these people have to fill this out. In addition to that, you have to make sure that your physical is up to date with your primary care physician because they're going to send a letter to them. And then lastly, for the recommendation piece, if you have any bio children or adopted children that are in school, they're going to send a letter and request that they can contact the school as well to kind of just give a heads up and kind of gain some insight into that child and see how, if there'd be any issues in regards to being a foster brother or sister. So with all these recommendations swirling around, it's likely that someone can drop the ball. Now, it's not intentional. It could be a doctor, could be a friend. You just got to kind of keep on them because, DCF has a pretty large caseload and they have all sorts of different things going on. And they're not going to follow up with you consistently or, continually rather. So you have to keep on the people and, don't think that you're being a bother. You just want to get this done. You're eager to complete it. And at the end of the day, everyone knows that you're doing this so that you can become licensed, so that you can help children. So of course, everyone's going to help you through that process. So once this all comes through, you've got everything in place. Your home study is complete. Your recommendations are in, fingerprints, background check, all that stuff's all good to go. The last step is to become licensed. Now, this is going to vary by area. For us, we got an official letter. Officially, at that point, you're a licensed foster parent, foster family, and you can get a call as soon as, say half hour after you're licensed. May happen in a couple of weeks. In our case, it took 4 months. That's not typical. There's a reason for that. It has to do with our requirements for placement and some other things, which I can go into detail in a future video. But, you'll probably get a call within a couple of days or say a week. Now, the home study may seem like an invasion of privacy, and it kind of can be, because back when I talked about with the classes, they ask you a lot. They ask you a lot in the initial interview as well as your home study. They're going to kind of reiterate some of that stuff. And they just want to be sure that, your personal life as well as your home is able to take care of these children or child, depending on what your count is for based on how many rooms you have, as well as how many child you already have living in your house at that time. And that's it. Once this is all set, you're officially licensed foster parents and you're good to go. There's really nothing else that happens. Like I said, you have the renewals coming up in 2 years and all that stuff, but you can now join in the groups, go to the support groups, and then above all, get calls and help children. It can seem like a long process, but this obviously is very serious. You're taking care of you're taking care of a child or possibly children, and obviously the agencies want to make sure that you're doing it for the right reasons, you're thorough, and you have all your stuff together. So that's all I have for this video. If you have any questions on the process, or if it's something you're thinking of doing but you're just not quite sure, maybe you have that lingering final question before you hit go, definitely leave a comment below. Please subscribe if you're new here, if this content interests you. And we're going to be doing a lot more similar content, obviously all focused on fostering. We're also going to be explaining a little bit more about our story and some of the specific placements, without, of course, getting into details on that specific child or children, but just some of the things that we have, gone through. And next week's video is going to be kind of interesting because I'm going to explain why our first placement, we had a 51A scare. So for those who don't know, 51A is a possible issue in regards to a child or children in your house. And there's a process where they interview and screen, and there's a lot that goes into it. So I'm going to go into detail on that so that you're prepared. At this point, if you're already a licensed foster parent, then you know all about it simply because they teach it in the class. But if this is something you're just thinking of doing and this is the first time you've heard it, next week's video is going to go in depth on that whole thing and how it affected us. So as always, appreciate you guys checking out this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.